All right, we've got ourselves a calculator problem, but looking at this, I'm not sure we really need to step aside and use a calculator. We'll do a quick calculation here, but I don't know if we need to do one of those side screen or split screen things that I always do. We'll see. The cycle between low tides and high tides at a beachfront town can be measured by blah, 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 sinusoidal function without the phase shift, where A, B, and D are constants. The maximum value of the tide is 12.04 feet, and the minimum value of the tide is 1.36 feet, assuming we know the values of B and K. I don't know what K are. Which of the following would best define f of x? So what we do have is the amplitude. What we don't have is the frequency, and surprisingly, we don't have the vertical shift, which we could find given this information, but all they seem to care about is the amplitude, which means, again, the calculator is not super necessary. The way you find the amplitude, if given a sine or cosine function, is you have your function, right? At some point you peak out, at some point you bottom out. So whatever the maximum value is and whatever the minimum value is, the amplitude is going to be the max minus the min, but then you take that whole thing and divide it by 2. Okay, now what that does is that also gives you an idea of where the midline is going to be, which is what D would be, but we're not being asked to find that, surprisingly, in this problem that I stole from the internet. Now the maximum value is 12.04. The minimum value is 1.36. Take that, divide that all by 2, which is probably why they want a calculator, but I'm just going to use good old Siri. What's 12.04 minus 1.36?
The answer is 10.68.
So you got 10.68. I don't need Siri for this one. Dividing that by 2 gets me 5.34. So my amplitude is 5.34. My amplitude is my A. So that tells me that the only logical option here is going to be D. Again, I could use this information to find out where the midline is, and the midline would be somewhere in the 6s. And these guys are 6 right here, so that's probably where, they use those as examples. You would find that by doing the average of these two numbers, but we didn't have to do that, just the amp.